Ta-da! Welcome, welcome, welcome. So today I wanted to talk to you about the Killmonger Effect. So this is another derivative from the Black Panther movie. And I thought it was a great way to capture some of the discussion that I've had with students and also with other people on social media. So the first thing is like the Killmonger effect, what I call the Killmonger effect, hashtag Killmonger effect. For those of you who follow me on Facebook or who are friends with me, who befriended me on Facebook, you already know, you've seen a few of my posts tagging, using the hashtag the Killmonger effect. Because it's just a few things that I've been observing and who are tied to the subject that we discuss on this channel. So the first thing is this, that the Killmonger effect is this effect that we see in the movie. So it's nothing pertaining to the actor in particular. It's nothing pertaining to the comic book or the franchise or anything like that. It's just subject matters that I tie to a certain aspect of the movie that I remember because I only saw it once for now. So Killmonger effect, I'm just taking some of the shadow aspect of the character Killmonger and bringing them to light so you can see where to temper them and you can pay attention to that. Of course, we already have the bright aspect, which is Killmonger ultimately wants to liberate the world. He has a cause that he finds is a noble cause, and he's willing to dedicate his entire energy and his life in order to reach that cause. So that's the bright aspect, the light aspect. But I'm going to focus on these videos, and when I'm going to mention the Killmonger effect is focusing on the darkness, focusing on the limiting aspects of the character and how it's presented. So I've written down a few things from remembering the movie and remembering some of the aspects that I wanted to share and that I've mentioned on my social media, so you can get the hang out of what I say with the Killmonger effect. Killmonger effect, sometimes it is one of the posts that I've made, was about having this noble cause that you think is so grand and demanding, not even not requesting, not suggesting, but demanding that everyone else jump in that boat with you, that everyone else join into the fight and be as vigorous or be as concerned as you are. Okay, and that's to me is part of this Killmonger effect. People jumping on social media, forcing you, telling you when you should be offended, what you should do, what cause you should join in, that you must do it in order to show your support, or in order to preserve your black card, in order to just prove that you are a quote-unquote good person. That's part to me of the Killmonger effect. And if you behave in that way, when you're going on social media and you're demanding from random people sometimes that you don't even know, that they join your cause, that they prove to you that they are a decent human being, chances are you'll end up like Killmonger, isolated, and probably you won't reach the grand cause that you're trying to, that you're aiming for. The second thing that pops out from the movie and that aspect of the Killmonger effect is disrespect. The disrespect to the elders. Okay, and this has come up from conversation of people who've seen the movie, and when we discuss this aspect of him barging into the royal room and the way he's just speaking to the elders with such disrespect in his voice, no matter what elder is presented before him, no matter the gender, no matter what else, just a blatant disrespect towards the elders. And that's the first type of disrespect that we'll talk about. Disrespect toward the elders. Disrespect towards the foundation of this tradition, which is to respect your elders. You can disagree with them. You have a variety and infinite ways of disagreeing without being disrespectful. So for me, when you start being disrespectful to an elder just because you disagree, or just because you think they haven't behaved the way they should have, or they're supposed to, or you think that there's a better way to have done something, and you're disrespecting them by cursing them out, by violently grabbing them, by violently killing them, or killing them, period, then I say that's a byproduct of the Killmonger effect. When you think that the cause that you are towards is more important than anything else. Is even more important, and that the relationship within the community. Okay, the respect toward the elder is a foundation to any long-lasting community. You're not going to find a community where there's no elders, or where the elders are constantly being disrespected. That is not going to be a functional community. So, hashtag Killmonger Effect. Another point of the Killmonger is disrespect towards the tradition. And I think this also stem a lot of discussions, and of course I'll let you tell me what you think about it in the comment section. Because, for example, a lot of people will say, and Killmonger himself was kind of blaming, Wakanda for the fact that he didn't get to grow up in Wakanda. He didn't get to know some of the traditions from Wakanda and etc. etc. Even though, from my perspective and from what I do remember, the book that his father had a lot of information about Wakanda and about the traditions. So to me, that was also a point in saying, when he turned 18 or however old, instead of going to the military, he could have just went back home because he knew from that book where his home was, or where the home of his father was. And the second thing is, like, you don't know this tradition, and when you get there, instead of trying to learn this tradition or trying to understand before you make you take a decision that can ruin it all, he just goes and blatantly burn everything down. Okay? And so that's for me, part of the Killmonger effect. When you're so blinded by the cause that you want to go, that you are even robbing others of the legacy that is theirs, that is not yours, but that is theirs. Okay, and that's what tradition is. Tradition is the embodiment of wisdom and experiences from a variety of people that transmitted from generation to generation, that does not belong to one person, that is the inheritance of a group of people. You may be included in that group, but it does not give you the right to erase it all, because other people may need that as well. And I think it's kind of a part of the discussions that I've had with some African American subscribers or clients who are saying basically that they were looking for their roots. They're looking for the African tradition that they come from. And some of them do come from Africa. So I understand that not everybody, not all black people who are in America came from Africa, but some of them do come from Africa. And some of them want to know the traditions that they're there. And for them, in order for them to know about this tradition, those traditions need to be perpetuated, they need to be carried on, they need to be energized. Those cultural and spiritual belief systems need to be cultivated. Okay, and so that's what Wakanda is doing. They've been cultivating all of these traditions for thousands and thousands of years. And so it is very selfish for Killmonger to just decide, because of his own pain, to just, blow it up. And so that now you're going to create more people who will now be seeking tradition. And this is kind of like something that you have to be very careful about. Before you decide that this tradition is not good enough, we just need to start all over from scratch. Okay, you need to figure it out, like, maybe there are other people that actually support and want this tradition to be kept. Okay, it's not just all about you and what you want. And being even in the position of power, you understand that it's not all about you. Because the moment you start using this power in a way that is not going to be beneficial for the masses, then you may have the masses turning against you, which actually happens to Killmonger, when the chief of the guard even turned against him. Even though he was rightfully on the throne, she decided to go back with Black Panther. And this is just to show that you've done too much, you've gone too far. The Killmonger effect. Don't go too far. So I've mentioned destroying of the sacred site. So this naivety where you're so blinded that you start reducting your cause is so grand, so important, that everything else has to be kind of like minor. Everything else kind of doesn't even matter that much. And we see him as the kind of naive or reductive perception that he has about leadership, about power, about royalty even. When he step on, he say, hey, I want to sit on those 9 seats that you guys are sitting on, assuming that, because you are the king or you're part of the elite or ruling the country, your day-to-day responsibilities are just to sit in nice seats, looks pretty, or have a lot of money, or live in a wealthy kind of capacity. And you often see this kind of resentment or mentality from people who are poor, looking at people who have wealth or people who are richer than them, and always thinking that, they're not doing anything to get this money. I'm here, I'm struggling, I'm working my ass off, and I'm not making ends meet. And, supposedly the people who are richer than me, they're probably stealing this money from other poor people. They're not even working, not even doing anything, inheriting this money and not being able to manage, all this different stuff. And that's the error. That's the area when you're judging from the outside and when you just don't know. Okay? Somebody who has a leadership position also has responsibilities. And if you don't fill up and live up to those responsibilities, the people you have a responsibility to will rise up against you. And we've seen that in history time and time and time again. Okay? Even people you dislike, they have to have a base. They have to have people supporting them. They have to have followers in order to make it. Even when they're using the haters in order to have the support, somebody needs to support them. And if they're dumb, they can just be thrown off. So it's a very naive perception of power to say, okay, the people who are making decisions are just having a fun, good old time. And we can see this when we see, for example, Wakabi, whose father was killed by the person who was stealing, the guy with the robotic arm, or vibrational arm, or whatever. He had to set aside his own personal family vendetta, okay, to go along with what the council decided. So it's not about your own personal feeling or what you feel is right. It's about what it's about the decision commonly made. Okay, and you have to understand that these 5 tribes in the movie came in together in an accord to rule together. Meaning it's not just what one tribe wants is going to prevail, it's going to be what's best for all of them, and they're all voting and agreeing with things in order to go along with it. It's not one person's opinion that's being imposed on everyone else. Okay, and understanding that leadership has some responsibility. Whether it is you leading a country, whether you're leading a group of people, whether you're leading your own family or you're leading the relationship, because as I said, in a relationship, the man is the one who leads, okay, and the woman let him lead. And in order for him to lead, he needs to understand that leading also means that he has some responsibilities. It's not just, I'm going to give order and push boss and push people around. It's also claiming and addressing those responsibilities and ensuring that people are taken care of. Okay, and in a way that goes beyond your own self. So when you bypass that, you reduce people to the amount of money that they have. You reduce people to the image that you have of them without inquiring, without taking the time to know what's going on, without taking the time to understand, and without any leadership experience, similar leadership experience. You are falling into the Killmonger effect. When you're looking at people in position of, but whether it is your boss, you're thinking, oh, your boss has it good. He's just coming around giving people orders. Until you get to a boss position, you won't know what it is like. You won't understand that sometimes you do have to make sure the coworkers are actually doing their work. Otherwise, you're losing money paying them for them to be, hanging out on Facebook or whatever. Until you are in that position. And that's why sometimes it's difficult for people to transition, people who want to be entrepreneur, because they're thinking, oh, as an employee, I have it so bad, so I'm going to become my own boss. Okay, but they don't realize that when you are your own boss, there's a lot of things that you're going to be doing, that you're going to have to do. And oftentimes, when you do have in the corporate scheme, people go up the ladder, meaning they've been sitting on your seat. They've been doing what you're doing now. And they manage to do that and to do that well enough for them to move up, to move along and to move up, and to now have responsibility of watching and looking after other people. And if you don't understand that, if you just think that somebody is being catapulted at that thing because they woke up one morning and they say, hey, buddy, I'm just going to become your manager, even though I have no managerial training, I don't know how to handle employees, that is going to be very reductive. Yes, I know there are people who just get, promotion that they may not deserve. But ultimately, if you're not able to do the job, you will be fired. Unless, your parents own the company or something like that. But those are exceptions. For the majority of people who get to become manager, whether it's regional or national, and so forth and so on, it's because they worked. It's because they have the experience. Okay, so stop so much looking towards other people because of their position or their status and having resentment towards them without even knowing or understanding what their position entails. Otherwise, you will fall to the Killmonger effect. Okay, another aspect of the movie that was talking with it, which to me is tied to the Killmonger effect, is simply the fact that he's not considerate. Killmonger is not considerate. And I'm sure, yes, when we look at it from the light perspective and the bright perspective, we're going to say, well, his cause is really noble. And he needs to lead the battle towards, freedom for all people who are oppressed, etc., etc., etc. However, when you look into the other aspect of that. It's simply he's not considerate, and he doesn't care about anyone but the cause that he finds he judged to be just. And that's an issue. That's an issue when you have soldiers. That's an issue when you're supposed to lead a nation towards a war. Because if the soldiers don't want to fight for you, they're not going to be there next to you leading that cause. You're going to have to do it on your own. And as you've seen him, where that led him. And the fact that he was inconsiderate towards the elders, inconsiderate towards the culture, inconsiderate towards the tradition, inconsiderate towards what the people wanted, inconsiderate about the way he went about choosing and doing things, led him to be by himself, led him to be alone, and having the people that he needed most turn against him. And again, I'll point out to the fact that the chief of the guard basically turned her back on him, because she started seeing how extreme he was and how dangerous that could be for the nation itself. And despite the fact that he was rightfully on the throne, he hadn't been dethroned yet, she's nevertheless decided to go and support Panther and turn against the throne, and turn against him more personally, not even the throne, but deciding that he became a danger to the throne. And so she went against him. So all of those different elements are just to show you that the Killmonger effect, to me, is when you just get wrapped up into your emotion, whether it is anger, whether it is passion. You can be very passionate about something, and you just want to share with the world. You just want to share with anybody. You see sometimes these people, you say, hello, how are you? And then instead of just saying, yes, I'm fine, or speaking about themselves, they start telling you about, how you can do this, how you can do that, whether you're interested in it or not. Even when you want to try to step away from them and move away from what they're saying, they're still going to continue talking to you and trying to grab you into that. And if you dare have a different opinion, all of a sudden you become castaway, you become the enemy, quote unquote. And those people are quickly to find themselves isolated. And that's part of the Killmonger effect. And I think that the illustration that the movie gives you is saying, when you go to the extreme, when you're demanding from other people that they see things necessarily your way, that they use your method, that your method is the only one, that your cause is the only great cause that can be had, and that you disrespect the culture, you disrespect the elders, you disrespect who they are, then don't be surprised if you are left in the cold, alone, isolated. And that your cause that is so grand is not going to be reached, is not going to advance. This is not about saying that his cause wasn't noble. This is more about saying the way he went about it wasn't. The way he went about the cause was not fruitful. That is not the way you're going to rally people behind your cause, and you're going to motivate them to do anything about it. On the contrary, that's more how you're going to scare them off, that you may push them off, and that they may not even if they agree with you, that they may distance themselves from you. And I think this is something to take in consideration. Yes, you may know some very fantastic and amazing wisdom and things like that, but did anyone ask for it? Instead of wasting your energy trying to convince people, trying to rally people, go towards the people who are actually asking you for your help, asking you for your advice, asking you for your counsel, asking you for your opinion, your comment, your perspective, the people who are looking up to you. Sometimes you will leave the people who are looking up to you to go bother people who don't care about who you are or what you want or what you're saying, when your tribe, the people who need that knowledge from you, are right there looking for you. And you won't need to fight, you don't need to demand or request. This is something that they will do willingly, because they just like you believe in their cause. Maybe they just like you believe in the means that you want to use to do what you want to do. And you won't have to be, over abrasive. You won't have to be yelling on social media. You won't have to be dragging anybody. People who think like you and who agree with what you want to do will show up, and you'll meet them. And focus on them. Focus on the people who actually want to hear what you have to say, instead of bothering the people who don't. Because just like you, they have free will. Okay? And I know sometimes it upsets a lot of people when we talk about Killmonger, because it's just like, Killmonger is the hero. Well, some people think he's not. Okay? And you won't change their mind by calling them names or trying to convince them. They may be as set in their views just the way you are set in yours. Okay? So I think it's much more productive for you to just focus on, if that's the cause that you want to need, whatever cause it is, focus on the other people who are also looking at that cause. And what great way to do that is blog, is post, and interacting with the people who actually agree with you, the people who actually want to support you, because that's going to be a lot more productive than calling other people names and barging into conversation that you haven't been invited to. Advice, the best advice is advice that has been solicited. Okay, if nobody wants to hear about what you have to say, don't barge into the conversation to tell them, or tell them like it is, or however you want to tell them. So that's just a few things to think about. The Killmonger effect is all over the place. You probably notice there's some people who are like that, who are subject to the Killmonger effect. It's up to you to shield yourself against that. Always stay courteous, of course, but just know that some people will have that kind of urge to rally you to their cause, and they may go to the extreme if you're not interested, and if you don't want to do that, like if you just want to enjoy your life and you don't want to fight and be a warrior, they may come to you and call you all kind of things, suggest all kind of things about you. And that's okay, that's their paradigm. It has nothing to do with you. And if you're one of those people who are subject to the Killmonger effect, just review your strategies. There are enough groups and people who will love to be working with you and working on the cause that you're working on, and all what you need to do is find them. Okay, all what you need to do is focus on the people who actually want to hear what you have to say. So thank you so much for having been with me, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.